Hey, today we're going to take a look at the 25 Donnies that I've made so far. To start out, this is the most recent one I made. It's the 2012 Donnie, and it's the original figure I bought back in 2012. And I just gave him a full repaint, make him look more like he did in the 2012 and more cooler, I guess. And then this is another 2012 Donnie, but I made him years ago before I even started this show, and I was just getting into customizing things. He's pretty cool. He has the best face, like out of all the figures, just the serious closed mouth. I always like Donnie's faces best. And then with another XL figure, I made Donnie as Boba Fett, and this was from the XL Super Ninja figure. He has the staff that Boba Fett has in the Boba Fett show. Yeah, it's called Boba Fett, right? The Disney show. I made the jetpack to match, the helmet. Well, that's without the helmet, but I didn't even paint that because, I just broke the little glass off the visor of the helmet. I haven't touched this guy for years since I made him. I'll have to fix that later. Another larger one. This one is inspired by the Sewer Slash-In line from Playmates back in the 90s, and this is Donnie Kruger. So Donnie is Freddy Krueger, and I made him with a NECA Freddy figure that I took just the claws and I put them on Donnie's hands, and Donnie is a knockoff 1990s NECA. I put the turtle shell and I gave him the turtle hands and Freddy's arms and legs. I thought if they're skinny and don't really, match, it makes them look creepier, just tall and spindly. And I gave him a burnt up face and head, but he looks better with the hat just because it's more classic Freddy. It's from the back, but it's hard to get the hat to stay on. So I did that last October. The October before that, I did Donnie as the Invisible Man, inspired by the Universal Monsters lines. And I made a resin hand so it's invisible, see-through, and then taped up his face and put those glasses on him. Glasses are from like a Michael Bay, Leonardo, or Raphael in disguise. And I made the staff out of resin as well. And the year before that, I did the original toy line Universal Monsters TMNT Donnie as Dracula. And this, I made most of the clothes out of 2mm foam, and what else did I use? An old pair of pants to make the cape, and I think that's foam clay I used maybe to make the pants and the shoes. Gave them the fangs are 2mm foam, and the hair is foam clay. And years ago, and I made both of those figures out of one of these 2003 Donatello figures. This is one I customized many years ago. Just gave him a black wash to bring out some of the details and give him a new belt and a new staff. Maybe a little bit of dry brushing on the shell. And another figure that I made out of a 2003 Donnie. This is Donnie as the Hulk. That's actually the shirt that I'm wearing right now is based on this guy. This is the reference drawing I made before when I was just about to make this guy. So I actually used air dry clay to do all the muscles on him because that's what I had at the time. And it didn't work great, but it worked. A lot of the pieces fell off and then I had to glue them back on because the air dried clay is pretty brittle and it doesn't really want to stick to plastic or most things. But that's the only Marvel crossover Donnie I've made. I had plans for 2 more. I'll probably make both of them eventually. Now let's move on to the comic book versions. This is a knockoff NECA, Mirage Comics TMNT Donatello, and so I just gave him a full paint to make him look more like the actual NECA than the knockoff NECA. And I really like these figures, and they're great knockoffs. I mean, they weren't perfect, but with some paint, they're just as good as a NECA. But I don't recommend buying knockoff, bootleg, illegal things. Years before I made that, this is the Playmates version of the Mirage Turtles. They came out years ago when the 2012 toys were still coming out, and I just gave him black wash and made him a new staff. That's all it took to make him really look like he's from the comic book. And this is the most recent comic book toy from the IDW comics, not the Mirage comics, and this is made by Best Action, but I got the black and white version and I customized it, so I gave all the paint and I gave him this belt buckle that he has in the comics, and it's got a metal shell and painted everything on this guy. but he's not the first IDW Donatello that I made. I made this out of a knockoff 2012 figure, and I sanded down his face to better match the comics, and I made the belt out of an old pair of shoes. I really like those shoes, and used the leather to make these guys. So I really like that one. And then recently in the comics, it was the Armageddon game, and there were clones of the Turtles, and this is a clone of Donatello, but he uses nunchucks, because yeah, he's not real Donatello, he's a clone. He likes nunchucks. And years ago I made this Dark Donnie. These old figures, they really don't like to stand up straight or just stand up at all. There we go. So this was in the beginning of the show, and I made this guy. He fell a couple times and that got broken. Years later I got some cheap SH Fig Arts, and he had some loose joints, that's why he was so cheap, but I turned him into the Dark Turtle, and I made extra turtles out of resin. I guess one's a grappling hook, the other's a turtle comp, but yeah, gave him a paint job, made the boots, made the gauntlets, gave him the cape, and this is a little emblem. On the old one I made it out of foam and the turtles, but I kept the belt buckle he had because it's dope. Could have put another little turtle, but I didn't want to. Cape. I really like this guy. He probably my favorite Donatello. This is a bootleg movie star turtle that I just gave him a paint job and new belt and new bow staff. They're alright. Better than they were when I got them. This is a McDonald's Happy Meal Donatello from space. But yeah, I just gave him a new paint job, added the pants and stuff to better match the actual episodes of the show. Made the bow staff. I guess we'll fast forward to Mutant Mayhem. So this was the basic figure, and then I painted him up and made him look like a premium figure, I guess, what I was going for. Just better match the movie, bring out some of the details. And another Mutant Mayhem. This is the same Donatello, the same figure, but I painted him to be black and white with the red bandana like the classic Mirage comics. But that's not the only figure I've painted black and white. This is the 2012 Donnie black and white, but with the black mask, because I was matching the inside of the pages of the black and white comic instead of the cover. That was some of my first videos, maybe my first 10, him and his brothers, black and white. And then maybe a year after that or so, I decided I wanted to do a black version, but not just black. I made them painted turtles, so they're like a species of turtle that is pretty much black with a little bit of color. So he's got a little bit of purple in there, but he's so dark you can't really tell. And another 2012 figure, this is Mystic Donnie or Vision Quest Donnie. He's got a big axe, and he's got this hood and the mask, and he's wearing all white. He's got some war paint on him. Playmates did a version of these, but they weren't that great. The Playmates version of this guy was better, but not as good as mine. I matched exactly the episode pretty much. Made a bunch of stuff out of epoxy sculpt and repainted him, made all the armor. Really love those orange smoke bombs. He's up there, top 3 for sure. So him and the Dark Donnie and maybe Cyber Donnie from Mutant Apocalypse. They never made toys of these guys. They should. He was the first one I made, and it was my first time using my 3D pen. I haven't used it much since then because it was going to take like a month to get good, and I don't have that kind of time. But he's a Cyborg Donnie. But he's not top 3. Say this brand new 2012 Donnie might be top 3. Can I do top 5? Yeah, top 5. You can give me your top 3. I'm gonna give you my top 5. So classic or regular 2012 Donnie, Super Ninja Donnie, Dark Donnie with the SH Fig Arts. That's 4. And gonna go IDW Donnie with part of my old shoes. I miss those shoes. So I think that's 25 custom Donnies. I've got a Leo coming up next week. Until then, remember, always keep your head up. Peace.